It's August the 4th, 2014. We are streaming live on YouTube. I'm the nuclear proctologist. And you can find me at BeautifulGirlByDana also. Hillary Clinton announced funding for Palestinian refugees. 4.7 million. 4.7 million people. That's CNN. 4.7 million Palestinians are classified by the UN as refugees, and they live in refugee camps for about 60 years. And you might hear a little bit of echo. I'll turn it down on this end so it won't be so bad. I'm just waiting for my stream to show up in the window before we get going. And so 5 million Palestinian refugees. There's another 500,000 created in the last couple of days. Just one moment, I check the audio. And I can't get the comments over on that page. So everything is kind of messed up. And hi everybody. I can't get my comments over there tonight for some reason. It's like chaos. And so I got the stream open up on it. It's a bit loud. Let's keep going. And hi everybody. John, Nip Killer, War Prophet, Kate, Cats Alive, Hidden Beneath, Lunar, Sean, Fans Filtration, wants to go to Langira. That's where I got injured. Standing Foot, David, Mauer, Toxic, War Prophet, Ronald, Friends, hi friends, I'm Thirst, and everybody else. Welcome to the stream. I noticed tonight we got nothing on our stream whatsoever, which didn't surprise me. So, the big problem, as I see it, is this picture coming up. Is one side is a Hamas rocket, and the other side is the Israeli tanks and what the damage they do. And the difference couldn't be any clearer if you want to. Hamas's rocket is hardly a threat. Hamas's rocket literally is insignificant in the scope of everything that we see. Hamas's rockets are incapable of doing any kind of damage. And as usual, everything goes missing just as I go live. And just give me a moment here. My goodness, where does all this stuff go to anyway? So a Hamas rocket cannot do the damage behind me. A Hamas rocket cannot do none of that. That's an Israeli tanks. There's a 155mm depleted uranium round. And as a nuclear proctologist, it is my obligation to make that well known. Here's what a Hamas rocket will do. A woman takes a photo in Tel Aviv neighborhood of a rocket intercepted allegedly and by Israel that landed and broke the car. Now the picture above me, alongside of me, rather above me, that's Israeli rockets. All of Hamas rockets couldn't do what's in this single picture behind me. Every Hamas rocket that they ever got. And so for Israel to be losing their minds because Hamas's rockets won't make it to Tel Aviv. You know, a scatter one will make it in there, but at 1,000s, only probably 6 or 7 would actually make it. And so the whole world lives in this fantasy when you take Hamas's rockets versus Israel destruction. Israel blows up the whole neighborhood, the whole city block with depleted uranium. These are dirty bombs. What you see hitting the car, that's as close as you're going to find on the internet to pictures of Hamas rockets. Once again, Hamas rocket up in the corner, everything else Israel. All of Hamas's rockets couldn't do one of these pictures. Israel have fired tens of thousands of these big projectiles that are dirty bombs. They're dirty bombs. They're dirty bombs. Those tanks only fire dirty bombs that are contaminated with all kinds of radioactive isotopes and elements and particles and atoms. It's beyond a war crime. It's unimaginable. But what Israel is doing is not random. That's the thing about Israel. And make sure I get the right one. Hang on a second, folks. Now, how do you put this? I wonder in layman's terms so everybody can get it the first go. I can find a good picture. Here's a good picture coming up. This is a young kid who was kidnapped, but he was killed. Israel bombarded him, right? And there was 3 other kids that were kidnapped, and then they were killed because Israel blew up the entire cities. And so the cover story was Israeli soldier kidnapped. They know he was dead because they blew up everything, so Hamas couldn't have, which was created by Israel. And I got to check everything now because YouTube has screwed me. Dirty banana bombs, banana powered Hamas, everybody. Okay, let me keep going. So here we got quite a few clips to get through tonight. I prepared a whole lot of clips. Jeez, I'm doing a lot of that tonight. I can't get a whole sentence out without stuttering. And because I got so many. So this one is about Lebanon. I think it was 2006. And here's what they invaded Lebanon and done so much carnage. But wait till you get a load of this.
In July 2006, war reared its ugly head once more in Lebanon when Hezbollah fighters stole across the border and kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers. Israel's response was immediate and furious. Huge amounts of ordnance were dropped on southern Lebanon, leaving village after village in ruins. Hezbollah
So in Lebanon, 2 soldiers are kidnapped. They drop 1 million cluster bombs before they leave. So it's about religion. Let's keep going here. Now there's another clip of a book. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Damn it. My apologies. But anyway, she explains. Let's play it.
Virtually every report about Gaza or about Israel and about Palestine includes the statement that thousands of rockets have been fired from Gaza in Israel. You know, for months, actually for years, we've been hearing about that in almost every report. It's factual, we should know about it, and we do. A few years ago, the New York Times had a picture of a rocket. It looked very terrifying, terrorists firing it. But given how often they give us that information, thousands of rockets have been fired from Gaza, they tell us very little about those rockets. For example, until quite recently, almost all of them, in fact probably still most of them, are small homemade projectiles. That's what they are. And they in most cases don't even cause any damage. Now they give us a statistics of sorts, thousands, but they never tell us, well, how many people have they killed in the whole approximately 12 years they've been used since spring of 2001. Thousands of rockets in total have been fired. How many people have they killed? At least give us a ballpark figure. Well, I did that a few months ago, and at that point it was 27 people. Somehow they just don't tell us that. And they don't tell us, as fair-minded people, we should, and I think do, want information about both populations. So during that time, how many Gazans have been killed by Israeli forces? That number is not difficult to find either. It's about 5,700 Gazans. In fact, actually now it's 6,000, I think, the latest figures. Before the last few weeks, it was 4,700. They just seem to give us some information and leave out other equally significant and relevant information. So we hear about, for example, the Israeli children that have been killed. Every one of those deaths is a tragedy. We learn about the children, we usually see their names, we often hear about their parents. We grieve for those children as we should. But we almost never hear about the Palestinian children. We certainly don't learn their names, we don't see their parents, we don't grieve with their parents for children we don't even know were killed. If you'll notice, look at the first year. 91 Palestinian children were killed in the round of violence that began in fall of 2000. 91 were killed before a single Israeli child. And yet our media always portray Israeli actions as retaliatory. Chronologically, that is inaccurate. I think that we should hear about all of those children. And if we had known that 91 children were being killed and the number one cause of their deaths was gunfire to the head, if we had known that our money was being used to shoot children in the head, I like to believe, and I do believe, that Americans would have demanded that it stop. Virtually.
So, here's a soldier shot 13 in one day. Children. Little tiny kids. This is the Stockholm syndrome, that it's us against them. And the children didn't do nothing to them. If someone shoots one of their children, there's no Israeli refugees. There's 5 million Palestinian refugees. Now there's another 500,000. And Clinton, in 2010, allocated a lot of money for 4.7 million of them because Israel, threw them away, right? Palestinians, 800,000 Palestinians imprisoned by Israel. 2 Israelis imprisoned by Palestinians. 2. During the Gaza war, EU sponsored a weapons fair when that slaughter was going on. These are not wars, rather, because a war would imply the other side had tanks. Israel, 80,000 troops. Hamas, 10,000. Hamas kicked their ass. Kicks their ass all the time. Israel, 7 million people. What would they do if 20,000 army came after them? They'd be finished. They'd be wiped out. The Jews are incapable of fighting somebody with weapons, incapable of fighting anybody with tanks, incapable of fighting people with drones and airplanes and a standing army. They're completely incapable. They're extremely capable of mass murder. That's all they can do. They turn around, they claim they're worried about Hamas rocket. There's a Hamas rocket, and alongside of it is Israel's tanks. The comparison is unimaginable. There's nothing else that explains it, only Stockholm Syndrome. That would explain it, right? Stockholm Syndrome explains why Israel is constantly fear-mongering. Here's a clip, and I'll be jumping back and forth on this one, I think. I get my headphones out. This is a clip of the Israeli ambassador, and we're going to jump back and forth on him. Here we go. Let me get my act together.
Well, Hamas does have, it uses military tactics to achieve a media strategy. What does it mean? They fire rockets at us. They know the rockets can't destroy the state of Israel. I'm sitting with Tel Aviv behind me.
Right, they know the rockets can't destroy Tel Aviv. What a staggering statement that one is. But their rockets, Hamas's rockets, can't do this. This is what Israel does. Israel can destroy, and has destroyed, Palestine. Like the comparison is something shocking. It's something apocalyptic. It's unimaginable. If that happened in Israel, that's what happened to Jews, right? And then the whole world went and defended them. And now the whole world is turning against them, which is their ideology. In the Bible, the Torah and the Talmud, the whole world turns against Israel. God comes down and destroys the entire planet. And only the people in Jerusalem gets to go to heaven. So that's why they have to ethnically cleanse Jerusalem. Let's go back to the crazy.
Hundreds of rockets fired us. You see Tel Aviv is still standing and bustling. But what they can do is get Israel to fire back, and using civilians as human shields, then create casualties. That translates into the condemnations that you just quoted. Well, Hamas does have uses.
So to get Israel to fire back? Get Israel to fire back. Do you got any idea how demented that statement really truly is? Let's keep going. Israel using drones. Here's a good one.
Chaos and death caused by an Israeli drone. This mobile phone video was shot just minutes after the strike. Witnesses tell us a missile was fired at a motorcycle parked only meters from a UN school being used as a shelter. Several people were killed and dozens wounded. More than 3.5 weeks into this conflict, and around 250,000 people now live in schools like this across the Gaza Strip. The shelters are meant to be safe havens from violence, but have now been targeted by Israeli fire at least 3 times.
These UN schools, which are being used as shelters, are clearly full of children who were killed and injured in the attack.
Killed and injured. So if Israel is targeting one of these buildings, they blow up the entire neighborhood. And the neighborhoods around that, and then the neighborhoods around that, right till all Gaza. I mean, my goodness. This savage. It's savage. These are savages. 4.7 million Palestinians, and you don't suppose there's going to be blowback from that? You don't suppose that's going to be an issue? You don't suppose putting 1 million in Jerusalem or Jordan is not going to burden their water, their land, their immigration, their driver's licenses? They can't get doctor, educations, health care. They can't have land, a title, an ID. And that's not an issue. Too bad it wasn't fucking Jews. Too bad it wasn't 4.7 million Jews. I'd be here fighting for you. I'd fight for you. Do you not? We fought for you already. And you stabbed us all in the fucking back. Every one of us. You turned your back on everything on the planet because of a ideology driven by the ultra-orthodoxies. That they're God's chosen people. And here's a clip coming up of the really whack job himself. And I'll just play it, not Benji, but I'll come back to that.
In Gaza, and when we look at the numbers of how many Palestinians have been killed, how many areas have been destroyed compared to what's happened on the other side in Israel, I mean, why should it surprise you the amount of condemnation that has been heaped on Israel?
First thing, it doesn't surprise me, the amount of condemnation, but it also doesn't bother me, because after the Holocaust, the Jewish state Israel is there to defend the Jewish people, and that's our first goal. And if Hamas...
Defend the Jewish people? By doing this to them? To the Palestinians? Yeah, they're going to give it up. They're gonna say, oh well, you won fair and square. You killed all my neighbors, my friends, my children, my wife, my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my nephews, my nieces, my cousins, everything I ever cared about, my pets. And so we'll just walk away. But he's a rabbi. Keep going.
They're going to fire 3,000 rockets, and they're going to try to hit our civilians. We're going to hit them back.
Hardly any of those rockets land.
3,000. Now hang on a second. I want to make sure I get this straight. 3,000 rockets. Here's the worst that it can do. Look at all the people hiding behind me. Look at a rocket on the ground. Look at a rocket hit the car. Look at a faking it. The Israelis for TV land. Disgusting. Let's keep going.
Hardly any of those rockets land in civilian populated areas in Israel. You know that.
Right. I do know that, Chazam, and I have to...
I do know that. So why did he say it? Why do they all say it? Because it's a joke to them. It's because they're not like normal people. They don't care about life. They say they do, but they don't. If they cared about life, they wouldn't blow up every child, every building, every house, every hotel, every piece of infrastructure in the country. No peace. Shut your fucking pie hole.
I'll take off my journalist hat and put on my rabbi hat for a second. Okay, the cab driver that I was with just now before I got here, he says to me, how is it that 3,000 rockets that Hamas sent have not really hit Israeli populations so much? We have had a few people killed, but mostly it has landed in open areas. And I put on my rabbi hat and I told them, it's min Allah, it's from God. It happens to be that there's 22 Arab countries around here. God loves, Allah loves the Arab world. He gives them oil from the ground. But this tiny place, Israel and Al-Quds, Jerusalem, is for the Jews. That's from Allah. It's in the Quran. And that's the only way I can explain how 3,000 rockets have hit the desert and have not hit Israel. There's no other way to explain it. It's not the Iron Dome, and it's not because Hamas don't know how to point a rocket. That's the only explanation that you could give. With regarding to
areas
So God stopped the rockets from landing in Israel. Well, if God's going to stop the rockets, what's the big deal? Why even bother? Why just laugh? Ha ha, God is protecting us. Yay! Way to go, God. Good when you knocked that one out of the sky. You made it fall short. You got any idea how crazy, how demented, how disgusting and utterly retarded that man is, that creature is, that demented, retarded creature is? He's a paramilitary rabbi. That's the worst you can imagine. Like, the guys that are shooting the tanks are praying. How is that any different than Mecca or Muhammad or Fatah or Hamas or any of these saying that they're driven by religious ideology? That's exactly what they're driven by in Israel. It's 100%. You just heard that creature. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu citing the Holocaust. Israel demands strict regulations on anti-war protests in Europe. The fuck is it to you what they do in Europe? How did that become your fucking demand? Pissed off now. Hang on. Pope Francis says you should cast out Netanyahu demons, according to the Nicaragua president. And I agree with him. Here's, like, it's crazy. Netanyahu to U.S. Don't second guess me on Hamas. 10,000. And you got 7 million people. You can't fucking do fuck all. You can't do jack shit. All you can do is attack people with no fighter jets, no tanks, no Black Hawk helicopters, no drones, no weapons. Just bombs that couldn't even blow up a fucking sidewalk. Couldn't even punch a hole in a friggin' roof of a car. And then you turn around, you level everything with depleted uranium rounds, dirty bombs. And you've got the fucking moral high ground. Here's Book TV, and they're introducing a guy who wrote a book about the world hating Israel, which is prophecy, right? That's what they want you to do. And he injects his own 10-cent word. Here we go.
Thank you, John. In recent days, Israel has been attacked and compelled to take action to defend itself from attacks from Gaza. This is the third time in 6 years. Once again,
Screwed up. Sorry, guys.
voices have been raised criticizing these military operations and demonizing Israel for acts of self-defense that will be no-brainers for just about any other country in the world. This is a sad and tragic time, especially for the more than 1.7 million Palestinians who essentially have been taken hostage by Hamas in its efforts to advance its radical agenda.
Taken hostage by Hamas. By Hamas. Like, I'm not sure if you're stupid, or which you're not. 4.7 million Palestinians are hostage. That land is hostage. Hillary Clinton gonna give them millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions I should say. Why? Because 4.7 million, right? 4.7 million refugees. Because Israel. So Israel can murder the rest of them. You know, Israel, poor bastards, they had to be evacuated by the police from the front of the White House. Because somebody showed up and said, hey, you don't suppose you're wrong? And oh my God, you're anti-Semitic. We need the police to evacuate us. That's Stockholm Syndrome. It's worse than Stockholm Syndrome. It's I suck my thumb syndrome. It's everybody hates me. Gee, 800,000 Palestinians imprisoned. All the children got criminal records in Palestine on top of that. 4.7 million in refugee camps. You blew up everything and you say Hamas is blowing up your cigarette. And then you get up there and you confess.
Gaza, and when we look at the numbers of how many Palestinians have been killed, how many areas have been destroyed.
How many areas? How many areas are destroyed by these little rockets? Look, no warhead. All the rockets that hit Israel, all together, times a million, still couldn't do that. Just one neighborhood in Gaza. Every fucking one of them. Not a single one of them could survive it. What do I got here? I got Crazy Lady. Here she goes. Let's get her for a few howls.
The wreckage of a classroom. This UN school had become a sanctuary for some 3,000 people who'd fled their homes. But it was struck in the early morning with devastating effect, leaving an aftermath of shock.
If you heard that interview with the United Nations, Chris Gunness, the rest of the world, now wants to know from Israel how you justify shelling a UN school.
When you see a terror organization that is using in the most cynical way children, women, to be a human shelter, to amounts of rockets that have only one goal, to shoot on the cities of Israel.
You can't even hit the cities. The rabbi just told you that, dummy. Look at the carnage that you do. There's no justification. You can't justify something like that. Let's keep going.
To harm civilians, just civilians. They have no territorial claim from Israel because Israel made a withdrawal in 2005. But since then, Hamas keeps on shooting rockets on our cities and our children. And unfortunately...
What about the huge stash of surface-to-air missiles missing in Libya? We've seen all the screaming you've done about that. Hamas has got them. They're going to kill our children. They're going to kill our children. You're lucky they don't take that bomb and throw it back at you. Look at the size of it. Look at what Hamas fires. A little tiny bomb couldn't blow up a car. Look at little tiny Gaza. Did captured Israeli soldier die in bombardment of Gaza? Well, if he was in this neighborhood, yeah. Yeah. If he was in this neighborhood, yeah. Yeah, he did meet. If he was in this neighborhood, yeah, he did meet, man. If he's in, let me see. What have we got for us today? If he was in this neighborhood, he's dead. If he's in this neighborhood, what the fuck was that? Never even blew up a car. It's a joke. That's a dime. So you got the Israelis heroes in the planes blowing up city blocks. And then you got all the bootlickers behind me. Rah, rah, rah. No more school in Gaza because we blew them all up. Right? They blew them all up. That's a fact. Here they are, the Israelis. Peace for Israel. Israel wants peace. Yeah. What's the good of peace to the fourth biggest weapons producer on the planet? Again, I'm a little confused. How are you going to make any money doing that one? Look at this one. Israelis. Stop the rockets. Stop the tunnels. Stop Hamas terror. Here's Israel's terror. And here's Hamas's terror. I can't tell the difference. Can you tell the difference? Here's Israel's terror. And Hamas's terror. I don't know, but it looks pretty disproportional to me. We got another clip coming up. This is Danny. Danny Gold, the Iron Dome guy.
Danny Gold is the man who developed the Iron Dome system, and he's joining us now from Tel Aviv, and I congratulate you on the success of that system.
Of course. Well, Danny Gold, it certainly seems like
the system.
Certainly seems like it has done some good work in saving lives over in Israel and in the Gaza area. Now back.
Do you continue to study? I mean, I imagine that you would, to improve upon the system. For instance, you know, there was one rocket that did make it very close to the airport. Some say that was the most damaging of all in the way that it stopped flights for at least 24 hours. Do you know what may have happened there and why that one rocket got through?
Out of the
those they want to intercept it, around 90%, as published in the media, around 90%. This is the rate of success. Of course, out of all of the rockets shot in Israel, probably is 97 or 98%. I didn't calculate it.
97 or 98%. That's why they're all hiding under the cars. I see that rocket up there. Look, see that rocket over there? They're Hamas rockets. You have any idea how stupid that is? Do you? And what else we got for you tonight? Keep going, Dana. That was Danny Gold. Oh, and I wasn't that stuck on that yet. Uh-oh. Hang on, I smurfed up. Oh, Dana. Okay, I'll do it the hard way. Hang on, folks. Oh, I gotta resize it. And let's try it.
No, I think he's making a very serious mistake. When Hamas, in effect,
I was talking about Netanyahu, I forgot to tell you, in Israel.
accepted the notion of participation in the Palestinian leadership, it in effect acknowledged the determination of that leadership to seek a peaceful solution from Israel, with Israel. That was a real option. They should have persisted in that. Instead, Netanyahu launched a campaign of defamation against Hamas, seized on the killing of 3 innocent Israeli kids, immediately charged Hamas with having done it without any evidence, and has used that to stir up public opinion in Israel in order to justify this attack on Gaza, which is so lethal. I think he is isolating Israel. He's endangering its longer-range future, and I think we ought to make it very clear that this is a course of action which we thoroughly disapprove, which we do not support, and which may compel us and the rest of the international community to take some steps of legitimizing Palestinian aspirations, perhaps in the UN.
Yeah, and so then another one allegedly kidnapped and he used his dad to go in and flatten 25 square miles of Gaza. At 125 square miles, he just flattened 25 square miles. 125 miles left. They used to own the furthest one over there, all the Palestinian. They gave Israel those little white spots. And since then, Israel has taken all the land and put 4.7 million refugee camps. They can't deal with 10,000 Hamas. They can put 4.7 million in refugee camps. Can't do nothing with Hamas. Can't do a bloody thing. They can't do anything any day of the week, because if they get rid of Hamas, what is going to happen? They can't sell weapons if they don't have someone to demonize. See these 3 explosions? These are detonations from the 155 millimeters and the jet fighters. That thing up there, that's a directed energy weapon. It's the first time we've ever seen one used in battle or killing people. So they're cooking all kinds of women and children with a directed energy weapon. It's a directed energy weapon. And go look up Israel, you find Raphael creates directed energy weapons for Israel. Israel spent $200 million developing directed energy weapons with America. The list is very, very long. Let me keep going. So here's a story. Times of Israel removes an unacceptable blog post. Genocide permissible in Gaza. The Times of Israel. And so they kicked that guy out, right? And he had wrote, when genocide is permissible, and he had found a way. No, I'm going to have to lean ahead to read that. So, if political leaders and military experts determine that the only way to achieve its goal of sustaining quiet is through genocide, it is then permissible to achieve those responsible goals. That is so twisted. And he came out with an apology. Not that he meant it. And there's another one there where he put out his Twitter tweets, but I got no idea what I got done with it. I can import it, but too late now. But he went out on Twitter and defended it. And then he put out that genocide is possible apology. Where the hell did the other one go? Anyway, when genocide is permissible. So he's no different than all the other crazies that we see all the time. I got another one. I covered a few days back. I got so much here. Hang on. No, I'm not going to find it. Not going to find it. This is their 155 millimeter depleted uranium rounds. And when it lands, it destroys everything in that neighborhood. The entire friggin' neighborhood. The middle picture is a Hamas rocket took out a car window. Here's what the Israelis do. So why should anybody give a fuck about them? I mean, they shoot 13 children, go up on Instagram and brag about it. Shoot them in the head and brag about it. This is how much hubris and arrogance that these people have. They lack empathy. I mean, look. Here's Israel's. Here's Hamas. It's like the Jews got nothing to worry about. Only their own mouths, their own ideology, and this crazy, this retarded, orthodoxic Jew, the Torah and the Talmud bootlicker. His son never won a contest for reciting the Bible. He won a contest for reciting the crazy whack jobs, orthodox Jewish Torah and Talmud. And so how can your children, 15 years of age, be a scholar in it and you not? Because that's who put him there, right? Was daddy. And then a direct war crimes, blowing up entire neighborhoods, targeting Hamas. So you can use that for anything. All Hamas got to do is say they're targeting Israeli soldiers. Because everybody in Israel is a soldier at one time or another. And might as well get rid of them because they'll fight us and kill us later. That's what they're doing. That's what they're saying to keep that divide. To keep that separated. Let me keep going. Here's a gross one. Hamas. You know, I like to think that that's Gaddafi getting the stick up his arse. And all Hamas leaders have to go watch the video. And if they don't listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, well, taking a poop is going to be really tough. Netanyahu tells Obama that's what's going to happen to him if he don't get his own way. Here's the Israelis. This is how disconnected they are because of the whole ideology. And so here they are, RTs going up to the border a few days ago. I'll just play the video.
The one element that we're missing from the story on the checkpoints, of course, is the view from the Israeli side. So we have an interview with someone from the Israeli Defense Forces, and I want to ask him what is the point of the checkpoints. So the first question will be something like, what is the point of checkpoints? The second question will be that when we went this morning, we saw people queuing for a long time in the checkpoints, but then what we did is we went through Hizma, and we just drove through and they didn't stop the car. Like, if you can just think of how you want to answer that, because what he's saying in the interview is that the checkpoints are to make me feel ashamed, and the checkpoints are to create divisions. So if you're a poor Palestinian, you have to wait in the queue, and if you're a wealthy Palestinian, you can get a car and you can drive through and it won't make any difference. I don't really go through questions beforehand, but I just, the sense I had is...
5 reasons why comparing Israeli and Palestinian death totals is a misleading way to judge the conflict. Now this is the Examiner, the same guy, Philip Klein, wrote a lot of pro-Israeli pieces. I'm not going to cover them all. But he compares World War II statistics, right? Just another useless media pandering to the murder machine. And you had a politician that stepped up and said, Prescott said, Gaza's a concentration camp. I mean, does anybody doubt that Gaza is a concentration camp? Are you going to look at that and tell me that's not a concentration camp? Are you going to tell me that 4.7 million refugees is not a concentration camp? They're not living in a concentration camp? And that Hillary really didn't need to give them tens of millions of dollars? Somebody should tell Hillary. Because that's a concentration camp for 70 years. 61 years, actually. Israel has no intentions of peace. Peace is no good for the 4th biggest producer of weapons on the planet. You're not going to get no peace doing that routine. You don't get any money. You can't get ahead. Look at the carnage. Every Hamas rocket that they dream about combined couldn't do that. But if, let me see, what else we got here for everybody. Just a reminder, fourth biggest producer of weapons on the planet. And you got the crazies are running loose with tanks now. And you have 300 congressional members declare an unbreakable bootlicking, cheerleading, lapdog commitment. That's because there's 7,500 lobbyists for Israel. They got 120,000 support networks. So if you want to get hold of a politician, you got 137,000 people to go after the politician. You're going to get them. No matter how hard you try, you cannot get them. 237 soldiers in Israel committed suicide in a 10-year period because they know what they're doing is so wrong. They know what they're doing is demented. They know what they're doing is unexcusable. They go into Palestine the whole time kidnapping children. That's what they do. They kidnap children. They give them criminal records and harvest the Palestinian organs. Israeli officers accused of raping Palestinian children. You have, let me see, Bill Clinton goes down, he gets $500,000 for getting them all the weapons kicked back. Children detained by Israel, 6 years old. The list is so long. So wrong. Here's an Israeli security officer threw rocks at the Israeli soldiers so they would beat up on the Palestinian children. That's not fable, that's a fact now. And the headline I'm looking for is not there. That's okay. Here we go again. At some point I'll get it. Maybe not. It's just one of those days you don't just... How come I can't find it? God damn this thing. Okay. I guess I'll wind it down. We'll wind it down. Is there any clips I missed here? I got him. Oh, here's a clip. Just a 15-second clip of... The hell is her name? CNN had her up there from the White House. Here we go.
This is wrong. You can't do this kind of shelling or targeted attacks. You are providing the weapons and artillery that allow these attacks to continue. Does that complicate a message of humanity coming from the United States? You say...
Right. Israel, American says, you got to stop killing the Gazans, but here's a whole bunch of weapons. Right? Israel officer, I was right to shoot a 13-year-old child. How about if they shot a 13-year-old Israeli child walking down the road? Is that okay too? No. And all the Israelis hiding behind those cars for that little tiny friggin' thing? It's all acting. It's all fable. It's all meant for deception. Right? Hamas rockets can't do jack shit. Israel rockets destroy everything for a few square miles. Then they move a square mile and destroy everything for a few more square miles. No rhythm, no reason. And just like the apology from Yokana Gordon, it's empty, right? It's an empty. Here's another one. Controversial Jewish Defense League to open a new Canadian chapter in wake of violent protest. Violent protest. So people are not allowed to protest what Israel is doing. People are not allowed to say that disproportionately that's wrong. So I can expect them to get in my face? That's cool. Come get some, man. I'll get on your radio shows, whatever you want. Your TV shows. Right? I'll show up with all my pictures of what you really like. I'll destroy every narrative you ever had. I killed 13 Palestinian kids today, so the Israelis hacked it and took it down. Right? Israelis blow up cities. Hamas can't even blow up a car. But Hamas is terrorizing Israel. Israel doesn't have 4.7 million in concentration camps. Gaza does. Palestine does. And I guess that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. 5 million Palestinian refugees. Israel's using directed energy weapons and depleted uranium, dirty bombs, tactical nukes. They're spreading depleted uranium all over the community. And Israel's using big cannonball bombs. Just a disgusting, disgusting society. Here's another disgusting. Concentrate and exterminate Israel Parliament Deputy Speaker with a Gaza genocide plan. But yeah, they're coming to get you, right? Gaza dead children are kept in ice cream freezers. Too bad there wasn't a few fucking Jews in the Israeli in the freezers. I really believe that. Maybe you would wake up. It's a sad thing to say. But my goodness, you got 4.7 million in refugee camps. You destroyed everything around you for your biblical land. That's all it was about. It was so you can get your little piece of land that's in a Bible. That's right, that's in a Bible. It's so disgusting. It's so disingenuous. And somebody's yelling out there. Here's another clip about that.
You're talking about the victim conceding all the time while the aggressor is being protected by the international community to do what it's doing, and nobody is even pointing a finger at Israel. All we hear in the press, it's unfortunately that the launching of rockets have created this problem. No, my friend, occupation is the essence of this conflict, and occupation must end. It's a shame that 47 years, 5 million Palestinians are still living under occupation with humiliation, while Israel is claiming to be democracy and clinging to the land and building illegal settlements. You're talking about the...
Right, 4.7 million. They got another 500,000 in the last 27 days. It's a pariah state. They're demented. They're out of control. And you have to cut off all support. You have to call them out for what they're doing. You got to hold them accountable. They write the names on the bombs. No matter what they say about Hamas, that's what they do. Hamas, all Hamas got is Israel supports them since they've been there, right? And Hamas is used to demonize everything and justify killing everything in Palestine. I'm so sick of it. And then they hide away the 4.7 million Palestinian refugees because Israelis are cowards. They're cowards. They can't handle the truth. They can't deal with the truth. They can't even look at the truth. They'll spam me. They'll give me thumbs down. They can't say, yeah, you know what, 4.7 million. We've gone too far. They can't do that. There is no gone too far. Genocide is permissible. They even got plans to create genocide. That's what they're doing. They're creating a 100%, it's worse than any apartheid, it's a genocide, what they're doing in Palestine. It's ethnically cleansing and genocide, and they claim they're a democracy. They're lunatics. They're mentally ill. They're disgusting vultures and parasites that are feeding up on the most vulnerable of our society. They really are a disgusting example of how low humans can crawl. Good night, folks. Yeah. Nip Killer, Sean, Toxic, James, Wong, Kate, Hugs Kate, Toxic, Lunar, Amthirst, Sean Can't Serve, yeah. Let me see what we got here. Old Original Punisher. Hey, buddy. Standing Foot. Hey, everybody. Sydney. I'm just saying goodnight. I'm winding down. Hi, Laura. And what else we got here? Anybody? Zip Free. Miss Frill. I was over in your blog again today. Sydney. Patrick. In HD. Bob Zavodo. Yeah, eye for an eye is never going to be bring priest. I can't even pronounce it. Robert, I'm just cooked here in the house tonight. I'm just scrolling through the comments, see if I can say goodnight to a few more people. Want to be live 24. Wanda. Slacker. Sydney. Let me see anybody else. Amthirst again. MSVS. Checks and balances. Delomi. Lower plots. Yeah, did pretty good tonight, didn't I? Dina. Good night, everybody. We'll catch everybody. Catastrophic Banana. See, I'm getting most people in. Scroll it up. I gotta do everything on the same computer. So a lot of noise on this video tonight, but there you go. It's all done. I'll scroll back up. Yeah, good night. Good night, everybody. Michael, Cat's Alive, Laura, Robert, John Townsend, yeah, hugs Kate. And 16, Corgib, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry. 16, you're welcome, thank you. Hidden Beneath, Solo Dog, Word Prophet. I got a lot of people in there, that was awesome. There is some really bad news coming up this week. I'm doing research and it's bad. It's real bad. It's something else. Fukushima related. And I'll have all the pictures and videos, a whole breakdown that are coming up this week. Probably the most important video of mankind coming up. Stunning, shocking. I've been in shock for the last couple of days, is why you haven't seen me. Literally in shock from what I discovered. And I haven't got it all put together in an airtight case to present it. And it's on, folks. It's all on. And I know everybody's like, Dana, how can you do this to us, to leave us all hanging? Yeah, I got no choice. In a few days, though, I'll be gone all day tomorrow. I don't think I'll get a show in tomorrow night. And it's back here to the ocean. It's just because I went back on the ocean, so we got some real bad news, folks. Real bad news. Yeah, your worst fears are true. Let's put it that way. And we're going to break it down coming up in a couple of days. You got to bear with me. I'm on an enormous amount of strain. I done this tonight just to blow off some steam. I won't be doing this no more. Yeah, we got some shocking stuff coming up. You are all right, then some. Trust me. Okay, good night. Hugs, everybody. Big hugs.